All right, I think I'm putting it back together. Let's see if the buttons work. They do! All right, look at that. Oh, and the music's got to fade out. Sorry, I have to do that manually. Which I kind of like because it gives a little bit of a transition. I think that's kind of cooler. We beat 80K. Look at us. I'm so proud of us. And yet we've got so far to go, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a good, 20K left. Subscribe. You don't have to be one of those assholes that has to be told to subscribe, are you? Really? That's who you are? Really? Do you want to be that person? I'm sorry. And I didn't update the title on the other channel. I was busy. I haven't really come up with okay. I feel like right now, and let me view stream. Let me do this, update the title, and go to, sorry, I was having issues with getting us up on Instagram, which we should be up live as of now. This is the Swipe White Presidency. Had a great conversation with Rob Glennon this afternoon. We have our little meeting between, because we can't just only talk on Friday Eye. It doesn't quite work that way. So, subscribe. It's free. Thank you, Jen. Thank you. Thank you for saying so. Appreciate it. In discussing it, I have points of concern, let's just say, about the current administration and the things that they're going to try to do. And then there are areas where I feel like there is a cat with a laser pointer kind of thing going on. And I honestly don't give a shit about those things. And I'm not going to be made to give a shit about those things. I'm not going to freak out every time he says Canada, 51st state, or talks about Greenland. I'm not going to do it. Why would I? He said Ren Fair. I could do a Ren Fair with this dude. It's true. Chat room. Thanks for saying so. By the way, check this out. It'll take a moment for the chat, I think, to show up in this. Where are you guys? There we go. Chat. Turn that guy on. Turn this off in here. Yeah. There's like I said, I have a lot of concerns. As you should, in a circumstance like this where real lives are on the line and real stuff is going around. But I care so much about it that I'm not going to allow myself to be whipsawed by a bunch of scatter-ass bullshit that's the same as he did last time and had about the same effect and blah, blah, blah. And I think the biggest example is today, Trump signed an executive order getting us out of UNRWA, right? And getting us out of the UN Human Rights Council. Okay. I gotta say, he did that last time, so what? It's not going to end human rights in the world. It doesn't mean America's going to have more of a play. Like China and Russia are on that council, so it's not going anywhere. All they're there is to do is to veto anything we would actually give a shit about. So while they're a part of it, it nullifies its value anyways. So whether or not we're in it is more a PR thing than it actually affects people's lives. So I'm not going to worry about that. Yes? Once that thing occurs and the ripple effects of it are going to be minimal, there are too many things that are important, right, that we should focus on. And so Rob and I talked about some of those things, and not the least of which is this seemingly growing push for war inside Mexico. And I talked about that yesterday, and I will be talking about that more in the days to come. But it seems to me there is a groundswell going on for strikes inside Mexico on the right, which will be the big wag the dog of the summer. Maybe earlier, but that seems to be what it's going to be. That seems to be where that's going. And so people might want to, once I start getting a whiff that this is starting to gain ground where they're kicking, they're testing the waters, then it'll be call your congressman person about this. Right now it's too early and they don't really believe it. We're not going to go to war in Panama. That's not going to happen. There's no need for it. It's silly. What they're going to do is they canceled their Belt and Road thing, which the other countries around them had already done. They weren't getting any money anyways, and it could be seen as a violation of the treaty to be participants in the Belt and Road anyways. So over. They hadn't really contributed anything anyways. That could be America's October 7th. Not quite. But my concern is retaliatory stuff from cartels inside the country because they have gang members and stuff that work with and around them that will do things for them under orders or else. And it's effectively like having a business model of ISIS operating in the country and these aren't, again, like illegal aliens or foreigners at all that they would kick out. They're people who who live here. Thoughts on the Department of Education? Here's my thing about the Department of Education. Okay, I'm for it because I think a focus on making sure that education across the United States is a uniform in quality and constantly raising. But the reality is Department of Education is designed largely to route tax dollars from blue states to red states that don't give a shit about education, and that literally. I mean, it was for racial reasons when it initially started. And then it really became a way of paying for, school grants and the like in red states. And so if it gets rescinded, that's just taking money away from red states. Blue states are still going to have that money. And they can make a good argument for, well, if there's no Department of Education, those funds that we as a state have to give should be reverted back to the states, right? Blue state schools would get better. Maybe. That would be the thing. I think the real issue with it is that the Department of Education is the only carrot and stick circumstance that the federal government has to implement education standards or behavior of educational institutions from Washington to the rest of the state. So if Trump wants to get rid of woke whatever in blue states' education systems, the only method he has to do that is through either giving or taking away funding through the Department of Education. If the Department of Education doesn't exist, the fuck does Washington have to say about education in the states? None. So again, if he wants to hamstring his power, look, the Republicans, when they get into office, don't use the Department of Education like it's meant to be used anyways. They just slow roll stuff overall. What they want to try to do is put block grants for education into the budget and just have it be a rolling thing in the federal budget without any coordination. Well, there's no oversight. How the fuck do you know it's going to line up? That's the other thing the Department of Education does, is that if you're sending money to red states and the test scores aren't going up, the Congress can go, hey, we're spending this money in the budget to send it to to Oklahoma, and the Oklahoma kids are just getting dumber. The fuck is our money doing? Right? So again, I think it's largely much ado about nothing. I'm not going to stress about it because maybe, just maybe, there's a better way to, and especially with AI making the advances it's making, that the University, here, I'll show you real quick. Is it, let's see, California University System, AI, something, okay. Let's see, Caesar, provide AI skills and training. Let's see if this, California State University has launched something. Here, I'll show you. Whoops, here we go to this guy. News, go to here. Oh, I see, that's why. Chat is there. That's another thing. Go to news and turn on this guy and turn off this guy. And in this, I want to go to this thing. Here you go. So CSU unveils a massive venture to provide free AI skills and training across all 23 campuses. The University of California State system is rolling out this huge training center addendum to all state universities in California that will train people on how to use AI and the like. And there will also be this kind of addendum generative AI structures to aid students in their learning as well. Okay. This is where shit is going, and it's going to get cheaper and more readily available by the fucking week. Okay. This is just an LA Times article, I think. Yeah. I'll copy it and I'll paste it in the thing. So, there we go. Right there. So, this is the way stuff is going. So, decentralization of the educational system will become kind of unimportant. Okay, at a certain point, the Department of Education is great, but there are so many things where the states that value education are far ahead of everybody else. That would be New York, that would be California, that would be Washington State, that would be Oregon and Illinois, and largely blue states. And they are going to, because they are also the states that make all the money, they are going to be providing their students with these kind of tools going forward. Okay, so the idea that like every kid in the country at some point is going to have an AI tutor that they are going to have with them for the run of their high schooling. Okay, that's a fait accompli. That's happening. It's going to occur within the next couple of years. It's already the technology is already there. It's just being rolled out in places. It's being piloted. It will be, I think, educational malpractice to not have let kids have access to that. It does not give you the answers. It teaches you how to learn, and it also learns how you learn, so you can use it again and again. This is the same thing with, like, back in the day. One of the things that gave people a leg up was your family could afford a set of encyclopedias. Rich people already had them. They had a big library in the house. Middle-class kids, one of the things you could do was buy encyclopedias. Gave your kids a leg up for their studies. Opened up a myriad of options for their learning. Okay. And from that, they got a head start on everybody else. This is the availability of an AI tutor, and I use ChatGPT for these kind of things all the time. I don't know if some of you saw the video I posted on my Instagram of me playing guitar earlier, but the point of that is that I have a couple of Floyd Rose tremolos on a couple of guitars, but I don't really play those because they're a pain in the ass, and I never could kind of get the hang of tuning them and setting them up. And I'll be goddamn if ChatGPT didn't listen to what I was saying, help me walk through it, and never get bored answering my same question over and over again as I try to figure something out. That's amazing, and that's available for a lot of things, and that's just going to continue to grow. Okay, so the Department of Education had an initial value in the same way that you have, kind of like equal protection laws and the availability of stuff. But at a certain point, I'm not saying it doesn't have value, but it's not as necessary. Okay, and if they do take it away, it will only hurt the states that are behind the eight ball, way behind on developing their educational system and the like, which is red states. So the elimination of the Department of Education will just hurt red states, and blue states are already 2 cycles ahead of whatever it could ask of them. Hope that made sense. Who just said they could be my Gulf Marine says, I set up a mean guitar, I could be your tech Hal. I may be careful what you ask for, Gulf Marine. I have acquired quite a few guitars over the years. So, AI is just all groupthink. No, it isn't. That's like saying libraries are all groupthink. If you could talk to a library, would that be a bad thing? Oh, I see what that is. Okay. Let's go back to here, and I'll turn this. So if hopefully that makes sense. But the key in this circumstance is the most of what they're trying to stop, the ship has sailed. This kind of goes to the vaccine thing too, because I'm not going to not vaccinate my kids, and I don't think you are either. I think the right is going to, have their same flipped out weirdness that they have, but they'll just have breakouts in their schools. And again, you take away the Department of Education, you also take away their control over vaccination rules at schools. Right? Remember, he was going, I'm not going to do any funding for any school that has a vaccine mandate. Well, okay, all of them have a vaccine mandate. What he means is a COVID vaccine mandate, but he has to admit that Operation Fartsteed sucked if he's going to bring up that thing.
Captain's log.
So, how do you do it? How do you control whether a school has a vaccine mandate if you're not giving them funding through the Department of Education? Or you can't, and therefore you can't take it away. Explain that to me. So get rid of it, motherfucker. A Democrat will just reinstate it. Right? This is like him getting in and out of a UN thing. He's going to mismanage it and blow it off anyways. And again, I care about kids in red states, but apparently they don't until until there's a squeeze. I grew up in Kentucky. The education system was underfunded. One of the reasons I had to retake a bunch of classes when I moved to Chicago and went to New Trier is because the New Trier school district looked at my school and said, the education system where you came from is substandard. We're not taking those credits. You got to retake it. And they were right. So, did homeschooling go up? No. Well, that's the other thing too, is that most of the DOE people that are pushing back against it are homeschoolers who don't want a standard. They want religious homeschooling. They don't want secular homeschooling. They don't want to teach their kids about fucking dinosaurs. It really does boil down to this. I wish it was more complicated. I really do. But for fuck's sake, the vast majority of the pushback you see about the Department of Education, fuck the Department of Education, is on the one hand, it's about sharing and acceptance and having there's a holiday for everything and they have to do a pride thing and all that kind of stuff. Okay, that's the freak out level on the social level. But the homeschoolers and the religious folks want to be able to take their kids out of the teaching about dinosaurs and anything that, Earth being older than 6,000 years. I'm not kidding. That's what they're pissed about. They've been pissed about it since the fucking 40s. I don't know. Yes, there is a protest going on at the Treasury right now, which is very cool. And more to come, no doubt. Hopefully they will be doing more than just bouncing from building to building.